Cutting a hole in a roof, it's a serious matter that cannot be undervalued. That's why RCS set out to design the simplest, most effective roof curb system in the industry for weather tightness and structural integrity. This training tutorial highlights the installation of the RCS track rail and flat flange roof curb system. We begin with the erector installing the roof sheeting as specified by the building manufacturer and in accordance with the guidelines specified by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. When the curb location is reached in the roof sheeting process, the insulation is placed as normal. The supplied track rail is then laid down with each of the sliders positioned accordingly on the purlins based on the dimensions of the curb and aligned in the flat of the roof panels between the ribs. The three cross-channel members are factory notched to the width of the curb and are to be placed at the downslope flange under the diverter and the upslope flange as backer plates for fasteners. The track rail system can also be pre-assembled with the factory notched cross channels and a few flathead fasteners for easier placement if the installer has enough work area. When the track rail has been positioned in the desired location, the installer then places 4 fasteners in the factory drilled holes in each of the sliders into the purlins. The insulation can then be scored and removed from the facing within the opening of the curb. It is recommended to cut an X into the remaining insulation facing and pull it back over the track rail and cross channels onto a strip of common double-faced tape. The roof sheeting process can now continue, and the roof curb can be installed now or in the future, depending on the building's schedule. When the time comes to install the roof curb, we begin by cutting the roof panels, which, if not pre-marked, can be easily located by taking an equipment lift inside the building and simply drilling reference holes through the roof in the 4 corners of the desired opening, laid out by the track rail system. From here, those reference holes can be used to align the curb on the roof panels, which can be dry marked for precise fitting. The roof panels should be cut to the length of the overall length of the curb flange, minus 6 inches, to allow for 3 inches of lap on each of the upslope and downslope ends. The width of the opening should be cut to the inside sidewall curb width, plus 1/2 inch, so there is 1/4 inch space between the edge of the panel and the interior curb walls to prevent sharp edges within the opening. After the rough opening has been cut to the proper dimension, hand shears or a nibbler will be used to cut a 3/16 inch wide by 1.5 inch wide long overcut on the high side parallel to the ridge to allow the factory notched upslope flange to be easily tucked under the roof panel for proper layering. The downslope end of the curb flange will need to be field notched 3 inches deep by the width of the panel type using shears or a nibbler based on the location of the roof panel high ribs for proper shingling of the lap. Before applying any mastic or sealant, hand crimp the adjacent roof panel high rib seams to the finished phase condition on the downslope end of the curb. By using the marked curb flange locations, apply the provided RCS 7-bead mastic to the inside of the marks on the roof panels for the entire length of the curb flanges and across the panels at the downslope end. If the lap of the downslope curb flange and roof panels is greater than 3 inches, it is recommended to apply an additional row of RCS 7-bead mastic adjacent to the outside mastic band to form a 6-inch wide band of mastic, preventing fasteners from missing the mastic field. The upslope flange of the roof curb requires a layer of RCS 7-bead mastic at the edge and placement of the supplied roof panel high rib plugs in coordination with the panel high rib layout. The roof panel high rib plugs may be installed before or after the upslope curb flange is tucked under the roof panels, with additional mastic and sealant being applied to ensure a weather-tight seal. It is now time to tuck the roof curb under the upslope roof panel ends, which requires minor uplift of the roof panels to maintain the composition of the mastic. Once the upslope curb flange is lapped under the roof panels 3 inches, the curb can be set down on the mastic perimeter. Fasteners can then begin to be installed 3 inches on center into the perimeter of the curb flanges through the supporting track rail system. The factory notched upslope flange of the curb that is slotted in the overcuts of the roof panel is designed to keep the panel slit condition over the cross-channel backer plate. The 2 supplied slit plates are to be installed on the roof panel overcuts with 3-inch by 3-inch pieces of RCS 7-bead mastic and the supplied 1 1/4 inch fasteners installed in the pre-punched holes, creating a compression connection when tightened. Supplied rib caps require a layer of RCS 7-bead mastic to the undersides and additional sealant to the pocket inside the rib cap before being placed over the roof panel high ribs and fastened 3 inches on center. Please note that the overuse of sealants in this tutorial is done to illustrate the importance of compression between the panels and curb when coupled with properly tightened fasteners. The flat flange roof curb system by RCS is now complete, and the work areas surrounding the curb assembly should be swept or vacuumed to remove debris and metal shavings from the roof. Revolutionizing the industry since the 1990s, Roof Curb Systems listens to erectors, manufacturers, designers, and contractors to continually develop innovative solutions with a total systems approach to the most critical components in metal buildings. RCS.